Hey guys, welcome back. Now, I know you want to unleash your camera's creative potential, but you don't know how to do it. Let me introduce you to the MIOPS FLEX and how this will take your photography to the next level. So I would like to start off by saying that MIOPS did send me the Flex device to review and play around with. As ever, like everyone else says, no money's changed hands. They haven't told me what to say. They haven't said include this, don't say this. And they don't see this before any of you. So when it goes live on YouTube, when you're seeing it is when they see it. So it's going to be an unbiased, honest review from myself to help you guys make a purchase or not. So when you first get the Flex out of the box, this is what you are greeted with. So this is the Flex device. So this is where it will go into your hot shoot or cold shoot, or you can mount it thread. There is your micro USB charge port and your SD card, which is mainly for firmware, but you can store photos to it as well. Then on the side here, you have your USB-C, which is to the camera, and then you have different ports for microphones and other accessories, and then there is your laser beam break on the front. Also with this you can replace the battery, so we just pull that top out and then out comes your battery, so that's handy. So let me just take you through the standout headline features. You can control your camera, so you've got a live view, you can control your shutter speed, your aperture and your ISO all live on the fly. You've got easy time lapse. You can preview that time lapse on the go. So it's great for checking your composition, if your settings and everything are correct. You've got HolyGrail Timelapse, which is basically a day to night time lapse. So it takes a reference image and then it changes your settings automatically based on the image it's taken. You've got a road lapse mode, which is basically hyperlapse. So it uses your smartphone's GPS even to set a distance to take images. You've got StormLapse, so that's basically a time lapse with lightning mode sewn together. So lightning mode, basically it takes lightning strike photos based off of the sensor and sound in the device and stitches them together. HDR photos, which will take different photos at different exposure levels automatically and then stitch them together. Laser break photography, so if you're dropping something and you want it to break the laser beam, it will do that and take a photo. And then obviously sound photography, for if you're popping something and you want a photo, it uses the built-in microphone. So now I've talked about what it can do for you, let me show you. So let's take a look at some time lapse and some photo examples. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Now this device is very app dependent. Everything that you do on it is controlled via the MIOPS FLEX app. So let's jump into the app now and I'll take you through some of the features and show you how it works. So first thing you're going to want to do is open the MiopsMobile app. From there your device will connect. So as you can see, we've got connected. So first things first, let's just go into camera controls. So we're waiting for the Flex to connect. So we're in. So we've got at the top there the camera, so the Sony, the ILC, so it's a6400, 94% battery. You've got the battery at the top of the Flex. Then we've got aperture controls. So if I change this, you can't quite see it, but this is changing it directly on the screen. You can change the shutter speed, and then if we go to live view, we'll turn the live view, and there I am. So it's slightly buggy, but it's not too bad. There's all sorts of bits you can do. So you can do zooming in, zooming out, histograms and things like that. So there's plenty of little settings you can go about with on there. So if we go back, Cable release, so press and hold modes, they are basically to take a photo. So they're sort of long exposure modes, those there, the press and lock, and the obviously a timed release, set a timer, and then it will take a photo. Then we go to time lapse. So pretty simple, you set your interval, so how often you want it to take a photo, how many frames you want it to take. So typically, probably you want for a good time lapse, probably 500 to 1,000, something like that. And then you set your exposure. So depending on what exposure, your scene, etc. Pretty simple. StormLapse, again, so what it's doing is it's listening, the device is listening, as you can see, this is me talking. So it gives you a good idea of where to set it at above sort of ambient noises. And then after that, it's the same, it's interval, frames, exposure. So it just adds basically a sound element to time lapse. Road lapse, this is using the distance, whatever you've set it to. I've got meters, so the frames. Every 20 meters using my phone's GPS, it will take a photo. Again, HDR time lapse, you're changing your exposures. So in HDR mode, you'll take, say, an exposed, an underexposed, and an overexposed photo, and it will stitch them together. Then you've got the interval of those photos and how many frames or how many photos you want to stitch. HDR time-lapse just adds a HDR element to a normal time-lapse. HDR mode. HolyGrail, basically you've got the auto and manual. You probably want to leave it in automatic mode, so off that you go to how many frames you want, the intervals, etc. So what it does is, whatever you've set the camera to manually on the HolyGrail mode, after it's taken a reference photo, it will keep measuring the parameters to see if it is still sort of correct for the scene. So HolyGrail is used for day to night basically, and the camera or the Flex automatically changes your camera settings. Then you've got device sensor mode, so obviously lightning, so that's using sound, as you can see. You've then got, again, sound mode, so it is listening to the ambient sound, any delays you want on it, if you want continuous or single shot, and the trigger if you want just a camera or flash as well. And then the laser, so this is a threshold for the laser. Now for this, you do need to purchase a laser pen to shine into the laser at the front, so you've basically got a beam to break. So once it recognizes a laser into the device, you can then set your threshold, or when something breaks that device, it will take a photo. And that is basically it for the app. You can go into your settings, so it's obviously got device, where it's all set up, pulse length, the HDR motion, so there's your milliseconds, geotagging if you want that, your LED status, what frames per second your preview, your backup files, your live view quality, and what units you want. And then obviously there's some user manuals to give some feedback on the app, and also if you want to buy any of their products. And that about wraps the app up, yeah. So any questions on that, let me know. I'm pretty familiar with it now, so if there's anything that I haven't covered or you want something more in depth or a bit of a tutorial, let me know down in the comments and I'll get on it, sort that out. So like with everything, there's a few points that I don't like with this device. The HDR stitching, while it does it takes forever to stitch the photos together, and also it's not fantastic. I can do better in post myself, so I'd leave that really. Also with it being a sort of a first generation device, the app and the device itself can be a little bit buggy, especially if you're trying to use manual focus. Obviously, like touching on the live view with the manual focus, it can cause it to crash. Also, I've had times where it did crash my camera as well and it just froze. But in saying that, I have reached out to MIOPS a few times with issues and help. They come back pretty much straight away offering help, and twice now they have updated the firmware to the device based on feedback I gave them, and also they have updated the app once as well. So they're very proactive at listening to customer issues, which is fantastic. So who is this for? Well, anyone who is into creative photography, whether they want to do lightning strikes, storms, breaking balloons with water in them, dropping fruit and taking a shot, or splashes, anything like that. You know, this is really up your street. I think anyone who's doing it professionally, I think it's something just great to have in your camera bag. You never know what you're going to turn up to sometimes, and this just makes some shots really, really easy. Also, time lapse is very simple on the device. As as I've shown. Really easy to do, and the camera just gets on with it. Yeah, you can use interval mode on Sony's, like myself, but the MIOPS FLEX just does it a little bit easier. So with that, guys, any questions or anything else you want me to do with this little guy, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you own it? Are you thinking of buying one? Let me know. Please like the video if you found it helpful. Really trying to grow the channel and help you guys. Smash that subscribe button as well. Hit the bell if you want to see some future videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.